Best advice you've received in real estate?
Show up, do the work, be straight with your clients, and success will be inevitable.
I like that.
Show up and do the work. Be straight.
Showing up it's a good chunk of it, isn't it?
It's a huge chunk of it. And then I always say after that, that's inevitable. Worst advice?
Worst advice.
Oh boy, worst advice. Don't spend money on marketing. Just get out there and door knock and make your cold calls.
Why was that bad advice?
Well, because marketing has brought me to where I am today. Marketing is attracting, selling is convincing. So when you're doing those cold calls and you're doing those door knockings, don't get me wrong. I did my business like that for 15 years. That's how I started in the business. That's how I grew. But you really get burnt out after a while doing business that way. You're in the office at 8:00 in the morning, and then you're there till 10:00 at night. You're just, cold calling or maybe taking off for a few hours during the day and banging on doors. And, after doing that for a while, it wears on you. So yeah. When I kind of took my business from a marketing business, from a selling business, which is what I call that part of business, into more of a marketing business, that's when the people started coming to me.
Yeah, traction.
Exactly. It wasn't a get rich quick scheme. That's something that takes time. Yeah. It takes time, but it'll pay off.
Jay Canon is my guest today. He is with William Raves in Fairfield County, Connecticut. They are a luxury broker in a very wonderful, beautiful part of our country. I'm going to tell you more about Jay. He has been in real estate. He is really a legend in real estate, 40 years. And through booms, busts, and battles, many agents haven't experienced, but Jay has. He has raised 4 kids and built a business entirely from scratch. He carried his family, his pain, his pressure, while still showing up with professionalism and tenacity throughout these 40 years. His son struggled with addiction for 13 years, and sadly they lost them in 2020. But Jay has been through hell, but he has kept going, not just because he had to, but because he made a commitment to helping others win. And even when life gets hard, Jay understands real struggle, and he fights for his clients like they're his own family. He has been nationally recognized. He has spoken at National Association of Realtors. He's been in the National Realtors magazine. He was actually, you were quoted or actually talked about in a very important book called Guerrilla Marketing by Jay Levinson, by the way. Jay is a very, very big deal. He is all about trust-based reputation built through constant, personal branding and just being an authentic, good human being. I want everybody to follow Jay at his Instagram account, which is jcanon_real estate. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. Jay, what a wonderful pleasure it is to have you on the show. Welcome.
Well, thank you, DJ. I appreciate that introduction. I don't feel like I'm that important, but thank you so much.
Well, that's what everybody who's important says. They go, "Oh, I'm not that big of a deal."
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I think your track record is so impressive. I've looked into it, and I know what a big deal you are, and I know that this is a job of carry water, chop wood every single day. It is rinse and repeat. It is doing the hard things that you have done for your clients for all this time. But I want to start at the beginning of the story, and then let's get to kind of where we are today, because you've been doing this 4 decades. Tell us how you got into real estate.
Gosh, I got to remember back now. So no, actually, my dad was in the real estate business. My father was a co-owner of a pretty large real estate company right here in Fairfield County. And, I always admired my father. I always liked the lifestyle that he led. I always appreciated the facts. As I got a little bit older, I always appreciated the facts that he was always at our ball games. He always sat with the family for dinner. He was a really good father, and I admired his job. I admired what he did. And I admired the respect that he had and people gave him. And I always said that I wanted to do what Dad did. I wanted to do what my father did. So it's funny, DJ, because I went off to college. After graduating high school, obviously I was 18 years old. I went off to college for 1 year. I went to Northeastern University in Boston. And every time I would call home, my father would, I'd be, hey, Pop, how you doing? My dad say, hey, how you doing, Jay? Am I good? Yeah, I just got out of math class, just got out of history class. And, my father would say, well, that's good. We just opened up another office today, or I just bought another Ferrari, or I just got back from another trip from, I'm like, what am I doing in college? I got to get into the family business. So I should have finished college. Number one, I should have finished college, but I ended up leaving college and I got into the business. And my mom and dad did not want me to leave college. They begged me to stay, but I was really convinced that I could do real estate. I was 19.
Wow.
So my mother and father were just kind of like, all right, you know what? Let him get into the business. Let him try it. And probably in about 6 months, he'll be begging to get back to college and get back to his buddies and party again. So it was like October of 1984 is when I actually started at the ripe age of 19. And, back then, DJ, I mean, you don't know it, but back then all I knew was I had to find people that had to buy and sell. I mean, that's all that I knew. And, I never watched my dad do a listing presentation. I never watched any of that stuff. My father put me out into one of his offices and I had a manager. His name is John. And if it wasn't for John, I would not be here today, to be honest with you, because he really took me under his wing and really gave me some special attention. And it was amazing. He was a tremendous mentor. And I tell him that every time I see him. And, that year I sold 49 houses when I was
at 19.
19. It was, my mom and dad said, well, I guess he's not going back to school.
I mean, who gives a 19-year-old a home to sell? That's amazing.
But I used that to my advantage. I always used my age to my advantage, saying that I wanted to make this my career and I was going to work 15 times harder.
Yeah.
To make it my career. And people they bought into it, and the rest was history. It was an amazing, back then, DJ too, don't forget, I'd get into the office at say 7:00 in the morning. I was always the first one in the office. And back then we had newspapers. And, inside the newspaper, it would say, all the for sale by owners would be in the newspaper. And, people that got job promotions were in the newspaper. Birth announcements were in the newspaper. Everything you want to know. People that are renting apartments, everything was in the newspaper. So I would literally go through the newspaper and call every single person in there.
Sure.
Congratulating them on their new job promotion. Now you're making more money. You want a bigger house, or congratulations on your new baby. Maybe you need an extra bedroom. So it was a lot of fun, and like I said, I'd get up and, right in the middle of the day and just go out and put a backpack with some brochures on my back or some business card, just go knocking on doors all day. And
what a great way to start the day. You're basically just spreading joy and congratulating people on these accomplishments, life achievements. If you think about it, there's worse calls to make, right? Like, you could have been selling something else that wouldn't have been that kind of phone call, right? You would have been the kind of call that people want to slam the phone number. When you're calling going, oh my God, I just saw that you had a baby. Congratulations. Right. That is a very warm introduction. And I'm sure not every call, of course, leads to a sale, but it is at least a very flattering and complimentary phone call.
I try to make all my phone calls, even to this day, that way. I always try to make an uplifting, happy, congratulatory phone call. But yeah, you're right. It was a cool way. But listen, man, after doing that for 5 or 10 years, it wears on you.
Sure.
It wears on you. My son Cross got his license about 3 years ago, and it was difficult, hearing all those no's for him, and having all those people slam the phone down on him, and it wears on you. And but listen, man, if you're in this real estate business, you've got to have thick skin. You've got to be disciplined, and you got to have some thick skin and just say, you know what? If someone slams the phone down, next, and not even think about it, it's over. It was funny. Back in the day, there was a guy his name was Tom Hopkins. I don't know if you ever heard
sure.
of him.
I know Tom Hopkins.
He had a funny thing. I used to go to his seminars back in the day, back in the 80s, but he had something really funny. He said, think about how much your commission is. Let's say it was $1,000, and how many calls did it make you or take you to get that $1,000 sale? So break it down. How much was every phone call worth?
Yeah.
$20 a phone call. So when somebody would start swearing at me on the telephone, I'd say, listen, thank you for the 20.
It's a good way to look at it. Well, it's
Everybody,
all about mind. It's all about attitude and mindset, right? And and,
yes,
and that's exactly it, right? Like you're absolutely right. It is not fun to get those phone calls. Nobody wants to be rejected. Nobody wants to be sworn at. And yet every call is another call closer to the deal.
oh,
And
yes,
of course,
oh, yes.
it is technically you are making money if you think about it, as long as you keep going, because you are
The
going to
more
get to
no's you get, the
that
closer to the
yes.
yes you're getting. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad and I did decide to open up a real estate company in 1989. So we opened up a real estate company in 1989. We called it John Canon Real Estate, and I worked with my father, and we were literally side by side for, oh gosh, until 1996. And working with your parents was not always very easy. And I always said to myself, I said, Pop, I love you. I said, I'll see you on Sunday for dinner, but I gotta go because either you're gonna kill me or I'm gonna kill you, but one of us are gonna die. I gotta go. My father had those really old school mentalities and the
Sure.
old nose to the grindstone. And I was kind of getting more into the marketing kind of way of business. We just had our different philosophies, and
Sure.
I had a tremendous amount of respect for my father. He gave me a lot of knowledge, but my dad's gone. He passed away about maybe like 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm.
My dad ended up going bankrupt. He lost everything he had a very
Oh,
bad. So, I mean, I'm telling you, it wasn't all roses here for me. It wasn't, I
sure.
didn't inherit the big business. I got into the business because of my parents, my dad, but here I am 40 years later and I'm still selling the business. I love the business. I mean, I'm still working the business. I love it. But
Yeah. It's
I
it's
didn't
it's
inherit
amazing.
fortune.
You have definitely had your share of struggle, and I love that you're so earnest about some of the challenges of life, and I admire that. I honor you for that. I think it takes tremendous courage to share that, and it
DJ,
really
show
what's
me the
that?
perfect person. Show me the perfect person with the perfect life.
Everyone's got them. Very few people are willing to talk about it, and I
And hopefully
find
they
that
can, well, hopefully what I say can help somebody, maybe.
I I hope so, because I can feel it in you. You have an authenticity. You have a need to connect, and I suspect your clients feel that from you. You probably have. I mean, I was looking when I was doing my research on you. It's like, oh, Jay is like the mayor, and he's not the mayor, of course, but not technically the mayor, but he is a very well-known person in his town. He's born and raised there. He's been there for his entire life. He serviced the community. He obviously sells in the community, and he is in the community, and he is a very important person within Trumbull, and that is your town. And I am just it is just amazing to see what you've built, but it hasn't been easy, right? Yeah, it's been a
No,
lot of hard work and a lot of setbacks, and of course, everybody's life has them. Most people
yeah.
aren't willing to share, and
How you
I
deal with them is what makes the man. How you deal with them and how you
yeah.
continue to move forward.
Mm.
That's what it's all about in life. It's moving forward, continuing to move forward.
Yeah, I find that too. I was listening to someone else talk about this recently, that we've made our lives someone else was talking and saying we made our lives very resistance free, right? We have so much convenience in our life, and that's good. That's good, but it's a problem in a way, because if we don't have challenge, we don't learn. We don't learn how to become stronger. So you almost have to, in this day and age, because we're so technologically advanced, we have so many amenities. Obviously, in this country, we're so blessed to all the things that we have here.
Of
But
course,
you
yeah.
almost have to put your own obstacles in the path if you don't have them already, because it's the only way we can grow and learn and get stronger. And
Yeah.
you don't even have to go out and get groceries anymore. You can just have those delivered to you.
Yeah, I
You
had
know,
Instacart.
yeah, yeah, and so it is impressive. What you've been through, and I appreciate you sharing some of those stories. And I'm excited to hear more from them. I want to hear a little bit about what your clients mean to you, because I know you are somebody that feels things very deeply. They're important to you, and tell us a little bit about how you think about your clients.
I think about my clients now much differently than I did in the past. As I've aged, you know, when you're a 19 or a 20, my wife and I have been dating since we were 14 years old. We've been together. We got married, we were 22. We had our first son, we were 24. And my wife has never had a paying job her whole life. She's always been a home mom. So I pulled this wagon all by myself, you know. So when you're doing real estate and you're trying to raise a family and say you've got 4 kids, man, you're just running. I'm running and running and running and running, and I'm just going from one deal to the next, to the next, to the next, just to try to make ends meet, just to build it, you know. And but this is an important thing I'm going to say right now, because this is probably the one thing in my life that I probably regret the most. I wish I've met some amazing, amazing people along the way that were just amazing people. I mean, just people that I really connected with. Because, you know, when you're selling their house or you're working with them as a buyer or what, you develop that really close relationship, you know. And I wish I had stopped and smelt the roses, man. I wish I had talked to these people a little more and got to know them, because all of a sudden, before you know it, I'm just running to the next deal and I haven't spoken to these people anymore. And all of a sudden 2, 3, 4 years goes by. So one of the biggest advice that I give to my son, and I can give to whoever's watching this podcast right now, is develop that relationship, because you meet some wonderful and amazing people and really get to know them, and hang on to those relationships. I mean, it's very gratifying to you as a person, but besides that, it'll obviously help you in business as well, because now those will lead to your referrals in the future. And now that we have, that we have all this social media and all these kinds of reviews and testimonials that can be seen all over the world, it's amazing. But that's something that I regret, and that I've actually changed quite a bit, getting to know my clients.
Becoming more intimate with your clients, checking in on them, letting them know that you're still invested in them after the transaction.
My wife and I just went out to dinner on Friday with clients of mine. We had never done that before. You know, I mean, we've been doing it the last 5 years or so, but, you know, we went to dinner. We're friends now with these people. We become friends. Yeah. And I really look back, and, you know, some might just pick up the phone and call, and I'm just like, hey, what's going on? I miss you. You know, I haven't seen it. Yeah. That changed a lot. It's important.
Let's talk about branding, because I know you have a brand, and when I was researching you, boy, you have a brand, and I would say your brand is professional, luxury, kind. I think there's an empathy to you that resonates in your material, very determined and relentless. But just overall, like, good guy. I feel like good guy is your brand. Tell me about your brand.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So again, I can't really take credit for a lot of this, because it was back in 1997. I was with William Ravis. I had left my dad. I was with William Ravis, and there was a guy in my office, and he had this business card with a logo on it. It was like a beautiful, like, little beach scene, you know, with the grasses and the sunset in the background. And I kind of looked at him. I was like, wow, that's a beautiful business card you have there. Where'd you get that? And he wouldn't tell me. He was like, I'm not telling you. I give away his secrets. So I eventually found out from my office manager that he had worked with a company called Hobbs Herder, which at the time it ended up becoming the largest real estate advertising marketing company in the United States.
Yeah.
And I called up Hobbs Herder, and they said, oh, we're going to be doing a seminar in New York City in 2 weeks from now. Why don't you show up? And so my wife and I, we went, and again, we were struggling. I was just paying the bills and so on and so forth. And we went to the seminar, and it wasn't Don Hobbs or Greg Herder that was running the seminar. It was just one of his salespeople. And it was all about branding. It was about being the brand. Don't blend in. And it was all about creating the brochure. It was about creating the story, about finding out what your niche is, who's your audience going to be. So I filled out this. I ended up buying into the system. They had like systems that went from like $5,000 to $25,000. If you want a postcard, do you want a house flyer, do you want a website, do you want business cards? So I picked the basic, smallest package that they had, and I had my personal brochure, my business cards, and my house flyer, and my postcards. And I was really taken back by what they did for me. I mean, they really taught me that the brand is really is everything to you. The brand is very, very important, DJ. And it was funny because, I mean, when I switched, remember I told you about the old way of doing business, the door knocking, and then the new way is the marketing. But I always said that, when I first started with this business, with this marketing type of business, I was like trying to do mail outs. I was trying to do small little advertisements in the newspaper, little black and white, 2x2 ads in the newspaper and things. And I was sending out these postcards for about 10 months. And I mean, I was literally getting nothing at all. I mean, and Hobbs Heard, the company, was telling me what to put on the postcards, who to mail the postcards to. I mean, it was a complete system they had. And I was getting no results whatsoever. And I was also stopping. I was kind of getting away from my business of cold calling and door knocking, and I was putting everything into the marketing aspect of the business. And I was on the verge of bankruptcy. I'm not kidding. I mean, I was on a phone call with Hobbs Herder and a bunch of agents from around the country one day, and everyone's like, "Oh man, I'm doing it now, and it's unbelievable, and I'm getting so much business, and it's unbelievable." And I'm just sitting there. I go, I got another story to tell you. I said, I've been doing this for about 10 months, and I'm on the verge of bankruptcy. I've got no phone, no calls, nothing, and Don Hobbs was the guy who was hosting, he was doing the call. And he goes, Jay, it sounds like you're doing everything right. He said, just hang in there for a couple more months, man. Hang in there. It's going to click. I'm telling you, it's going to click. And I said, well, I'll try. I'll give it a whirl, Those were the days when I was in the grocery store and I'm pushing the grocery cart and I'm writing a check at the checkout. And as I'm pushing the grocery, I'm like, I hope to God that check clears. I mean,
right.
Sure. Those were some fun times. But I'll never forget the day I got a phone call just shortly after that. The guy was like, Jay, can you come up and list my house? Guy gave me his name, and I went up to his house, and he was standing at the door with my postcard in his hand. He goes, come on, let's figure out the price and let's sign this up. And I'm like, what? He's like, listen, anybody who sends me these postcards as consistently as you've done for the past 10 months, that's who I want to work with.
Yeah.
And then it was almost like the faucets were turned on at that point. I just started getting calls. And don't forget, DJ, at that time too, I was kind of like the pioneer in personal marketing. So they weren't getting nobody was really getting these marketing materials in the mail back then. But yeah, so my business went from, let's say $3 million to almost $17 million in 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was an amazing transformation. And it was all because of the marketing. So all of a sudden my little 2x2 black and white ads maybe got to be 3x3, and then all of a sudden they got to be 4x4. Then all of a sudden they turned into color ads, and my 500 direct mail was turned into 1,000 people, to 1,500 to 5,000 people. So as my business grew, I grew with it.
Yeah. But
marketing was really the key. I remember I'm talking, so cut me off whenever you want. But
no, I love it.
I was at a convention, a Hobbs Herder's convention, and I was in a buffet line, and right in front of me was Greg Herder from Hobbs Herder. And I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, Greg, hi. I said, my name is Jay Canon. I'm over in Fairfield County, Connecticut. And I just want to tell you, I just want to say thank you to you guys. I said, because, my business just went from $13 million to $17 million in a year. And I was on the verge of bankruptcy. And he looked at me as though I had 3 heads on my shoulder. And he was like, so after the lunch and the seminar started up again, he's like, where's Jake? Where is Jake? Is Jake in the room? And I knew he was looking for me, and I raised my hand. They gave me the microphone. He's like, I go, Jay. And he said, Jay, just tell everybody what you were telling me in the life. So I told the story. And, he just, I ended up becoming their poster child. I ended up becoming a big thing for that company because of the success that their systems provided for me. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, their systems not everybody was successful using their systems, but I really used it. I worked it really, really hard, and I was really committed to it. And and there was a lot of wonderful things started happening. The more money I was making, gosh, my wife started getting nicer to me. She started becoming nicer to me. I mean, we got a bigger house. I mean, a lot of good things started happening, But yeah, those were some amazing times, those were some amazing times. But it was all about the marketing and the branding.
Yeah,
It was, yeah,
I'm interested in how you think about today's sort of marketing landscape. So we have social media, we have all sorts of
yeah.
digital ways to reach people. We can send mailers, we can do the print stuff. Where do you find that you get the most bang for your buck?
Well, yeah, DJ. I mean, if you think about it, like, what is our job as a marketing to me always became like, I want to try to get people to like me long before they've even met me, because that's really what we need to do when you're
Yeah,
marketing out there as agents, is to get people to like you, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So those are the three things you're trying to get through with your marketing. Everything that I do, every piece of mail I mail out, everything I do was always geared towards that. It was always geared to let people know who I am as a person. My personal brochure was, 3 pages long, and it had nothing to do with real estate. It was about me as a
yeah.
person and who I am. I want to get people to know me and hopefully like me, trust me, and then they do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So social media has just changed the game. I mean, it's just a totally new world. I mean, it's just, gosh, if we had this back in 1990, I don't know, you know what I would have done. But yeah, but now I just find it as networking on steroids.
Yeah.
And it's just such an amazing way to get people to really get to know you personally and intimately, to hear your voice and to get your message. And um, and I just love it. I mean, it's also for my home sellers, it's amazing because now I'm getting 30,000 views on my home tour videos. Um, yeah, just these are things that what separates me from the competition. I mean, listen, I'm going to get you 30,000 views on these home videos. Um, it's just I just think it's an amazing thing. I mean, some people, yeah, it's just another piece to my puzzle, but I just think it's such an important piece. And so many people just don't want to take to this video. They don't want to be in front of the cameras like you and I do constantly. See, my philosophy is, who gives a shit? I mean, I know my stuff. I know my
Yeah.
business. I mean, and it is what it is. And this is who I am. So I have no problem speaking on camera. I have fun with it. I really do. I really enjoy it. And don't get me wrong. When I started doing videos, maybe it was 6, 7 years ago. They weren't as polished as they are now. It was a little iPhone. And it was, but now I have a videographer and I do some pretty cool stuff. But listen, man, I don't need a videographer. I can still use the iPhone and you know and have it come out just as good.
I was watching one of your client testimonials earlier today, and I was impressed by just the question that was asked to the client, which is such a great question, and it was a little bit nuanced. And for those of us who, watch these kind of things, we might just blow past it without realizing the power of it. But they were asked, "Why did you choose Jay?" Which I thought was interesting because it didn't seem like they knew you prior. And they said, "Why did you
Right.
choose Jay?" And they said, "Well," and they started to answer that question about what you had done to impress them, why they thought you were the most competent person for the job, and they were doing the
Mhm.
marketing for you. And
Right.
I'm sure they weren't prompted. It seemed very honest and earnest. And I just thought, what a great question is, why did you choose Jay? And I love that. So for all of us that haven't created videos like that, I encourage you to check those out. Jay does powerful testimonials, and he films them very professionally. They look amazing. You don't, of course, as Jay said, you don't have to have a videographer always with you, but boy, you've captured some amazing moments with your clients, and it really
I
has.
don't go. I don't go to their house either. When I just send my videographer to the house,
Yeah,
and I just give him a few questions to ask. He can ask whatever he wants, but that's what comes out. I'm not even there. I
yeah.
don't. But I think those video testimonials are very powerful, very, very powerful.
Boy, they sure
And,
are. I mean, I was impressed. I was watching them, and I've seen a lot of realtor testimonial videos, and usually they're all very similar. Yours are not. Yours are different. And I just thought, boy, that makes a lot of sense. I want to know why people choose you. I don't want to know that I should choose Jay. I want to know why people choose Jay, right? And that's a pretty unique distinction. And it sounds simple and it sounds like obvious, but if we really think about it, we're talking about branding, and your brand is consistency, authenticity, relentless work ethic, treating every client like family, and everything you put out there sort of shines through that lens. And you can hear it in your clients' responses. So if everyone should check out Jay, your YouTube channel, we'll have a link to that in the show notes as well, because you do get a lot of views on your various videos, as well as you just have a lot of people in your corner. I want to talk about contribution, because I know that's really significant to you and has made a big impact in your life. You've been part of organizations for years. Talk about sort of the organizations you support and why you support them.
DJ, like you had mentioned in my introduction, my son battled opiate addiction, for, oh gosh, he was 16 years old. He passed away when he was 29. So 13 years. And on December 20th, it'll be the 5th year anniversary of his death. But if you take the 5 years since he's been gone and the 13 years while he was with us with the addiction, I was still trying to function with a 75-pound weight on my shoulder 24/7, because addiction is one of the worst things that I could ever wish. I couldn't wish it on anybody. It'll tear people apart, tear families apart. It's a very, very difficult thing. It was like living with a terrorist 24/7. It was very scary. I miss my son terribly, but I don't miss the addiction. And my son Kyle, my son John passed away when Kyle just started his first semester in law school, and he just got sworn into the bar the other
congratulations.
day. To the Connecticut bar. Thank you. When I heard that he passed the bar, I fell to the floor in my kitchen just crying like a baby. But what was the question, DJ? Just remind me where I was going with
just
this.
That contribution, giving back to the community.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is now I'm really getting more involved now with my community. For example, I live in the Nichols part of Trumbull, which is, let's say our town is broken up into certain areas. We got the Nichols section, the Daniels Farm section, the Tashua section, and down here in Nichols, it's kind of historic. A lot of the houses are plaqued, and we have an NIA, which is a Nichols Improvement Association. And I've, a few years ago, I decided to get involved with the NIA, and now I'm the membership chairman. I just took on the responsibility to be the chairman for the nominating committee for the next year's executive board that I'm going to be on as well. They're pushing me to be president, but I don't really have the time to be the president. The guy that we have right now, his name is Bryce, and he's amazing. He's retired. You need a retired person to do that job. As a matter of fact, today, we have a bonfire set for December 14th, and it's a community thing. People in Nichols all gather in the parking lot up at the NIA building, and we have an amazing bonfire. I think it's probably, if you're in a space shuttle, you could probably see this thing burning from there. So I actually collected 250 pallets today. I rented a truck at Home Depot this morning at 8:30, me and my two boys, and we went and we picked up 250 pallets from a couple of businesses. And we took like 6 or 7 trips. We went back and forth from the business and started the pile for the pallets for the bonfire. And I just get so much joy out of that, now. And it was just something I felt as though I really couldn't do before. I just never could really get involved with certain things that I was passionate about, or organizations, or my son Cross was a wrestler. He's he's about 26 years old now, but he went to school in Iowa, and he won the NCAA national title. He's an NCAA champion. It's amazing. The greatest times of my life, by the way, being out there in the Midwest, watching him become the best in the country. But that was really the thing that even trying to be with him was difficult back then, just because my wife needed me around the house. It was real tough times, but again, getting involved with my community and my friends and people is just such a joy. It's so uplifting. And just to give back to the community and just things that you're passionate about, you know?
You're a guy who I assume has a lot of structure, and I know, of course, as a realtor, your day probably fluctuates. It looks different from what you've structured previously. But tell us, what does a normal day look like for you?
A normal day for me is, you know, I'm getting up. I get up in the morning. I get up very early. I'm up about 5:30 a.m., 6 o'clock. And I usually jump into my sweatpants and I get into my car and it's dark outside and I drive to the fitness edge. You know, I drive over here to the gym. Actually, it's Planet Fitness. And I work out every morning for about an hour and a half. You know, I do a lot of cardio. Um, as a matter of fact, I lost 50 pounds in the past
Congrats.
13 months. Thank you. Actually, about 45 pounds.
Close
But
enough.
yeah, it's amazing. I made a commitment and I really stuck to it. And yeah, there was no drugs involved, just diet and exercise, man. I mean, just really very, very strict. I feel great. So I've been I go to the gym every day. I have a sauna inside my house. So I come home and I do a sauna. In my sauna, I do a little meditating and I to just do my gratitudes every day, just like these guys like Tom Ferry and all these other fellas tell you to do.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful thing. I'm usually in my office by about 9 o'clock a.m. And I always have my day set the night before. So I'm usually, banging out my phone calls in the morning. I go out and preview some houses later in the morning. I'm usually going on my listing presentations in the afternoon. Sometimes they're in the evening as well. I always take that nice hour for lunch to spend some time with my wife. I really enjoy being with my wife. I think she's been with me now for the last couple of years. I really have her involved in the real estate business. Not to the point, just being by my side. And my wife's just a beautiful person. She's a wonderful person. She was from down south. You know, she was born in Kentucky, so she was a nice person being from down south. Not like up here in Connecticut or New York. Everyone says you're not from around here, you know. But yeah, she's my yin to the yang. Is that what they say? She's just so lovable that people just love her. You know, they love for who she's so genuine. You know, when I go on a listing presentation, she just comes with me to the stage. They just, before you know it, I mean, they're just talking about gardening and they're talking about, they're walking around looking around. It's just amazing. And then I'm just very focused on the business aspect of the appointment, and we make a good team together. So she's getting a real estate license now because I wanted to get a little bit more involved and maybe host some open houses and things like that. So just maybe
I imagine she would be very pleased to hear how you described her and how much you enjoy her and how much fun you can hear in your voice spending time with your wife.
DJ, I tell her all the time. Like I said, when my son John passed away, I got so many people that said, they started calling me and writing me letters and, texting me and all kinds of stuff and telling me how John, my son John, had affected their lives and how he personally had touched these people, whether it was through his music, because he was an amazing musician. I mean, the kid could play piano, play guitar, never even took a lesson, and he was just an amazing kid. And, but after, when he was gone, I kind of sat back and I said to myself, if John knew how much people cared about him and loved him and how he influenced so many lives and how he affected people, whether he was a personal trainer at the gym too. I mean, the kid was a power lifter. The kid was amazing. And I said, no, I don't think it would have affected him because that's how powerful the drug is.
Yeah.
Because when it gets inside you, it gets into your soul and nothing else matters. And it's a horrible thing. But where was I going with this?
We were saying if he were to know how much he touched people and how much they loved him.
Right. And I said the answer to that would be no. But the point that I'm making is that I make it an effort right now. I make it an effort to tell anybody in my life who has touched me in a positive way how much they have touched me in a positive way and what they've meant to my life. And I tell my family that I love them every single day. I tell people that I love how much I love them. And I'm not going to wait for them to be gone before I
Right.
do that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I see people that have affected my life in a positive way, whether it's in a restaurant or a Dunkin' Donut, wherever I am, even at Starbucks, I'd be like, hey, man, did I ever tell you what you've done for my life? Always.
I have that same philosophy. You sort of, we all have an expiration date. We don't know what it is, and we don't know
Tomorrow's not
when
going to
other
keep pointing at us.
yeah, and we don't know when anyone else's last moments are, and we don't know when ours are. And this idea that don't die with your music still in you, right? Like the idea
Right,
that somebody matters to you, and right now you could pick up the phone and tell them, right now you could call a client that you haven't called in 10 years and say, I'm
right,
sorry I haven't called you in 10 years. I care about you, and I'm thinking about you, and I just wanted you to know that. And family, friends, it is such an easy thing to do now. We are so easily connected,
yeah.
and yet I find that we often don't. And I would encourage everyone listening to think about the people that matter to them, and remember that they won't be here forever, and they might not be here tomorrow. Hopefully they will, but maybe they won't. And think about, what would you want them to know before their final moments, and this is the time to share it with them. And what I've found by sharing that, and I'm curious to get your thoughts, is it opens up the opportunity for the other person to also share. It's usually
True.
not just a one-way conversation. The other person usually says, well, you mean a lot to me as well. And then you get to have this shared intimate moment, and it's appreciation. So I'm curious at how a lot of those conversations end up going for you.
Well, it's funny how you just said that because, there was this guy named George who was a very close friend of my dad. And his son was just diagnosed with cancer. And I called up George and again, I thanked him for being such a good friend to my parents when they were around, and how he was so close to my dad. And I just thanked him for just being such a good person and good friend of our family. And he goes, I always told your old man, you're better than he was. You're definitely better than. And I got a kick out of that. But you're right, how you just said, by telling somebody, and he turned it around and said, you're a better realtor than your father was. And I said, well,
Yeah.
listen, at the end of the day, we all want our children to be better than what we are. That's really what we want, and that's our goal in life, is to have our kids do more, be more than we have. But yeah.
Well, I want to end with, if you were to talk to the younger you who didn't know everything that you know now, what would you say to the younger you that didn't know that back then, but that you are really clear? What would you tell the younger you?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things, DJ. I mean, number one is, I want to get back to that because, again, a lot of that is, smelling the roses, like I talked about earlier. That's what I would definitely tell the younger me, is don't just keep running. But one thing that I do now with my clients too, and I think this is this really differentiates me from other agents that are out there plugging along as well too. When I approach my home sellers, primarily home sellers, it's a team effort that I bring to the table. It's not just about me; it's about you, DJ. If I'm selling your house, I need you to be a part of this. I want it's your house. You live there. You know all about your house. I want you to, let's write down all the amenities that you enjoyed, why you bought the house, all of your amenities. Let's hear everything. I want you to, when I do my write-up on your house, I want to email it to you in the morning. I want you to critique it. I want you to proof it, change it. Do you want things taken out? Do you want things added in? When I do my photography, I want you to look at all the photos, and do you want to take some photos out? There's certain photos that you like, especially. I just want it's a team effort, and that's something that people really appreciate a lot. And they're also like, oh God, I wonder what this realtor is going to do. I'm like, no, it's not. It's about what we're going to do. We're a team.
Yeah.
We're a team. We're going to get this done together. I mean, this is a very stressful thing that you guys are going to go through right now.
Yeah.
This is not fun, and I tell them it's not fun, man. I mean, it's a big inconvenience, and there's a lot of stress and pressure, and we're going to have some speed bumps.
Yeah.
But
There's always a speed bump. Yeah.
always speed bumps. We're going to get over those, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a great end result. It's going to be a great end result, but we'll just take it in little steps. And we can take it in those little steps. If you look at the whole picture as a big picture, it could be very overwhelming. But just break it down into little steps. What's the first thing we got to do? We got to get your house staged. We got to do this. We got to do that. And then we're going to get there. And then we're going to get it on the market. And then we're going to do this. And then we're going to do that. But I'll take care of all the work. But I just want your help to a certain extent, to a certain extent. But if I'm looking back at the old Jay, I would say to the old guys, I'd say, you know what? Count your blessings, your gratitudes. Take better care of yourself than you do on your job, because you are the motor, you are the engine that runs everything. Stay in shape. I would say, be very disciplined. Always be looking for new and modern technology. Always be a student of the game. Always be learning. Always be going to seminars. Always be learning the latest technology. Just trying to stay up on everything. Keeping current matters and things like that. Just learning about the markets, the real estate markets, the interest rates. Just being a knowledgeable person. I do a lot of seminars too, real estate seminars. I host them in restaurants, and I'm just a knowledge person. I bring a team of experts with me, and I would say that I wish I had done that 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And again, being a knowledge broker, staying in contact, networking with people, staying in contact with these people that you're dealing with, because God, like I tell you, you're handling one of the biggest things in their life that they'll ever have to go through. And it's stressful as all heck, and you got to put yourself in their shoes too and understand what they're going through. Sometimes I go into a house. I mean, it's a horrible divorce. Sometimes I'll go into a house and it was just a tragic death. Sometimes it's not all that. So I deal with a lot of broken people sometimes that I got to help.
Sure.
I'm helping everybody, regardless of who they are. I've got to help. They're looking. They need to get their house sold, and I've got to get it sold for the most money I physically possibly can, and I got to do it in the least amount of time, and I've got to do it stress-free for them. I've got to make them have a wonderful experience, turn them into raving fans, and make it as stress-free as possible, because we all have enough stress in our lives. I'm not looking to add to it. I don't need to add to it. I need to help them. And that's the mentality that goes into everything. And that's what I would kind of tell my old self, man. The young guys getting into the business. And also, you got to stay disciplined. You got to have a game plan. You got to create a daily work habit. And you got to stick to that day. You got to stick to it every single day. Because if you're consistent and you work hard, it's going to pay off. There's no doubt about it. 100% it'll pay off. This is a career. People are like, oh, I'm going to try real estate. I'm going to get it. No, this is a business. And you got to treat it like a business. It's like opening up a restaurant without any food. You need to spend some money sometimes on yourself. You got to invest in yourself. You've got to build your brand. You sometimes have to put some ads out there, some Facebook ads, some Instagram ads. You've got to sometimes maybe pay a videographer or do some post direct mail or have some nice branded, sign writers. You got to do these things. You got to write checks. It's a business. You got to build your business. And I wish I had known that when I first started too. It took me 20 years to learn all that.
Well, you certainly know it now. And I was going to ask you if retirement is something on the horizon, but I would suspect you would say no, because you like what you do so much. I don't see you stopping doing this until you want to.
Well, that's what retirement is, DJ. What is retirement to you?
Well, I love what I do, and my father also loved what he did, and he just finally stopped at 78 because he said, my body's kind of telling me it's time, but he goes, but I could keep going, but maybe my body. Yeah. But he loved it. And he was like, why would I stop doing what I love? And I love that he worked at 78. And I imagine you have a similar.
I think I'm just getting started, to be honest with you. Honest to God, I think the best years are ahead of me. And they are going to be ahead of me. This year was a record-breaking year. I've done over $30 million in volume. I've sold over 40 houses. It's been a wonderful year. And next year my goals are going to be higher. And retirement for me is working because I want to and not because I have to.
Yeah.
That's what retirement is. Working because I want to and not because I have to. So make the right investments too. The younger Jay who's out there right now, make wise investments. Save your money. You don't need to buy the Porsche or the Mercedes. You can go out and buy a nice little 2-family house.
Yeah.
Live in one, and then for a year or so, and then rent them out and go buy another one, or invest in real estate. You'll never go wrong. It's a tremendous way to retire. because in 20 years from now, you'll own 20 properties.
Yeah.
And half of those properties that you own will probably be mortgage free, and you'll just be a tremendous cash flow.
Yeah.
So invest in real estate. You sell it, you should be investing in it. Don't ever compete against your clients. That was one thing my dad taught me. He said, son, don't compete against your clients. Don't buy, don't be a speculator to a certain extent. I'm not a flipper. I'll sell my flips to my clients because that's not who I am. I'm not a flipper. I'm a realtor. My father told me that years ago. What do you want to be, son? Do you want to be a speculator? Do you want to be an investor? Or do you want to be a realtor? What do you want to do? Because it's hard to do them all and do them well.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a realtor. So I've made other people a lot of money over the years, and I find great joy in that too. But there's nothing wrong with buying a nice two-family or a nice piece of property once a year if you're a young guy, and building a little real estate empire is a wonderful thing.
Well, Jay, I am so grateful that you spent time with us today. You are authentic is probably not even enough of a word to describe how genuine of a person you seem to be, and your clients resonate that same exact sentimentality when I watch some of these videos. And I'm so grateful to have had you on the show. I've done this almost 700 times, and I don't get to speak to somebody quite like you as often as I would prefer. So on behalf of the audience, and I know they appreciated it because I appreciated it, and we say thank you. And on behalf of Jay and myself, we also say thank you to the audience to sticking around and being here all the way to the very end and listening to Jay's stories and listening to his authenticity and his advice about how to build a wonderful life and how to persevere when times get hard, and they do. And
always move forward. You always got to move forward, bud. You always got to. There's going to be life's going to kick you in the ass, going to knock you to the ground. You just got to get up, brush it off, and keep going, man.
It's gonna. If there, I don't know if there's a God, of course, but if there is, that'll be my first question when, if and when I get to meet God. I will say, "Why did you make it so hard?" And you go, "Because it was supposed to be so hard." But the point is,
you got a tremendous amount of blessings, though.
Absolutely, and any day above ground is a victory. Any day.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. That's the start of it. But yeah.
Yeah, and attitude, mentality, consistency. I hear that in your. You are very intentional. You are a serious but soft person, which I love, and you're very authentic. And what a pleasure to have you on the show.
Jay.
This is the kind of people that I love to feature on this podcast. On behalf of everyone, thank you again to our audience, to our sponsors, to our guest Jay, and we will see everybody on our next episode. I will encourage everybody to please send this episode to another agent. Right, Jay's been doing this for 40 years. There's a lot of agents that are maybe feeling like I might want to get out of the business right now because times aren't as easy as maybe they'd like them to be. Jay is a great example of why you should keep.
I was going to say too, DJ, you guys can reach out to me anytime, text message or through Instagram, or give me a call, and I'm more than happy to help however I can. Whatever advice I can help you guys with.
And also, if you're an agent who has clients that move to Fairfield County or anywhere really in Connecticut, Jay would love an opportunity to connect with you. And also, he has clients that move out of Connecticut, so you should reach out to him.
Down south, especially going down south.
That's right. Especially if you live in a warm climate, that is especially right now, this time of year, it's starting to look a lot better to go down there. And so anyway, Jay, thank you so much. Please, everyone, tell another agent about this podcast. We appreciate you. This is how we grow, and we love our listeners and our guests as well, and want everybody to have a happy and healthy holiday season. And we will see you on the next episode. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, DJ.